Our team coverage moves now to CBS News Miami's Jim DeFede.
All right, Jim, this was seen as a make or break event for some on that debate stage. So did anybody stand out to you?
Well, I'm not sure I would necessarily agree this was make or break. I think they're still trying to find their footing. You know, I think this was a little livelier than we saw in the first debate, although I got to tell you, they spent a lot of time talking over each other, and I'm not sure the moderators really had much control of the debate. But I want to turn to a couple of things, because there were some interesting moments that I thought needed some fact-checking as well, you know, especially when it came to Ron DeSantis. One of the things that probably the most lively exchange was we saw Nikki Haley for the first time really attack Ron DeSantis, and specifically on the issue of energy policy, saying that DeSantis had banned fracking in Florida, and it also came out against offshore drilling. And DeSantis laughed and said, it's not true, not true, not true. Well, in fact, it is true. Nikki Haley is absolutely right that Ron DeSantis signed an executive order, you know, on the second day that he was in office, which did in effect ban fracking in Florida, and he campaigned against offshore drilling off Florida. So those things are correct. The other thing that I thought would deserve some clarity and some context is one of the questions that DeSantis received was about health insurance and the fact that so many Floridians are without health insurance. And DeSantis never really addressed the question. Instead, he blamed some sort of, you know, safety net policies in Washington. It was a little confusing, so let's just try to get some clarity on this. There are right now about 1 million people in Florida who would be covered under Medicaid expansion if the state of Florida and Ron DeSantis agreed to expand Medicaid in Florida. I think the number is a little over 800,000. Hundreds of thousands of those would be children who currently do not have insurance that would get insurance if they accepted the Medicaid bailout that comes with the Affordable Care Act. So when he talks about it, he didn't talk about it in the complete context of what he's done as governor here. The other thing that I thought was interesting was when he talked about the AP issue here, again, Governor DeSantis has this tendency to, when he gets caught on something that he either misspoke about or made a mistake about, he then falls back on the idea of calling it a hoax. And you know, he got caught up again in the feud about the AP studies, African American Studies program, you know, that talked about again how, you know, blacks benefited from slavery, and DeSantis himself had doubled down on that early on by talking about, you know, how they could become blacksmiths. He called it a hoax. Well, it wasn't a hoax, and his statements about it were somewhat misleading.
And of course, Jim, he also actually mentioned the former president, wondering where he is, why he hasn't seen him, why he's not been participating in the debate. Still to be seen whether or not that was a good strategic move to call out Donald Trump on the debate stage there. I'm sure we'll be hearing more from you in the coming days as we break down the outcome, or who the winners are, so to speak, out of this debate. We'll be hearing much more. Jim DeFede, thank you as always for your insight tonight.